What it do, y'all? It's your girl Makeup and Travel, and for today's video your girl wanted to bring you an update on my second project pan. This is the project pan where I focus specifically on getting more use out of my eyeshadow palettes. I find that as a YouTuber or just somebody who's really into trying different brands, formulations, different color schemes, all of that stuff, I find the fact that I don't really have significant use shown on my palettes, and so I really wanted to change that this year. And my goal this year is to really just make my eyeshadow palettes look more loved, look more used. So that's really the crux of this project pan. I of course will be updating every month. In case you did not see the intro, I will go ahead and have it down below, but other than that, let's just get into it. Okay, so I did hit my goal for 2 eyeshadow palettes, so I will leave those to the end. You have already seen one if you saw my my makeup project pan update, but let's talk about the other 4 first. So starting off with the collaboration palette between Dose of Colors and Katie and Desi, which is called the Friendcation Palette. I said that I wanted to aim to hit pan in this shadow. If we're being honest, I don't actually remember even reaching for this palette this past month, which is fine. 6 palettes, reaching for all of them and doing other things on the side, that's a bit much, especially because I don't distinctly remember wearing makeup at all to work. So the idea of really doing all of these looks, not only for work for me personally on my days off, such as today, or just for you guys to show you guys certain looks, it's kind of unfeasible. Regardless, I did not remember touching this palette, so I did not reach my goal. Still really happy to keep this palette in my project pan though, but just no significant use. Then we have the Lime Crime Venus XL 2 palette, and for this palette I said that I wanted to reach a goal for the shade Eve. I did reach for this palette. I think I reached for it maybe 2 or 3. Ooh, the palette is messing with my coloring. So I reached for the palette at least 2 or 3 times, which I am really happy about. There is no real significant progress though. You don't really see anything significant. There is a small little like trough, if you will, of where the product is no longer because I've been working on using it, but I have not hit pan, but that's okay. I'm still really excited to keep this in my project, so there's that. Then the 2 that I have strictly been using for deepening shades, which is this one right here. This is the Marvelous Mauve, and I'm trying to hit pan in the shade Wine Stain, which is right here. I have used this. This is a very I would say compact formulation, so this is going to be definitely a long haul product, which is perfectly fine with me. It will of course stay in the project. And then out of the Sassy Sienna's palette, which these are both from Dose of Colors, I'm sorry, out of the Sassy Sienna's palette, the Stay Sassy shade, once again same formulation, so it's going to be very dense and hard to really hit pan in a quick amount of time. I have reached for this a couple of times as well, and this is once again just going to be a known long haul product. So overall, still very happy with the palette selection that I have created, and now let's get into the 2 that I actually hit my goal in. So one of the easier of the 2 actually was this one right here, and this is from the Foiled Rose palette from Love Luxe Beauty, and this is this shade right here. So this is the shade Desire. I had previously really enjoyed this shade, so I had already really had quite a nice dent in here. I think I only had to use this shade twice this month specifically to reach this goal. Really happy with it, and like I said, I just really am happy with the amount of use that I've used with this palette in general, let alone just the color schemes and the eye looks that I got with this look. I really like the overall palette, but this will be going back into my collection. I will be siphoning in a different palette to take its place. And then the second palette that I hit my goal with is of course none other than the Huda Beauty New Nude palette. I had a goal to hit pan in the concealed shade after finishing my MAC paint pot, and around trying out different eyeshadow primers, which I've already tested out all of those eyeshadow primers. I've really been just hankering down and getting use out of this concealed shade. As you can see, there's quite a significant amount of pan in this as well. Really enjoying it. This will now actually be leaving this project, but it's actually being filtered into my makeup project pan because I am going to aim to finish that as an eyeshadow primer, the concealed shade. I think it is an okay shade, but the fact that the product is literally open, and for the length of time that I've had this palette, I don't think the primer is what it was at one point. To the point that, like, even when I put the primer on my eyes and I go to, like, you know, figure out what I'm gonna put on my eyes or whatever as a eyeshadow, the primer settles into the creases on my eyes. And I don't have the oldest eyelids, but I also don't have the youngest, so that's just a bit more of a reason for me to just get through that particular shade as quickly as possible. And as this year is one of those years where I am really aiming to get use out of all of my products, that is a really cool way to do it. So I'm going to be doing that. As of right now, I'm going to keep the concealed shade literally in this palette, but I do have my MAC paint pot container somewhere in this room. So if it gets to the point where it's just annoying or whatever have you, I will just scrape it out of this and put it into that. So now I need to find two palettes that are in my collection that are not new or whatever, that I want to get some use out of, and I'm going to try and be smart and find palettes that have a different color scheme, maybe even different textures than the ones that I already have still in this project. So just give me 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, so that was pretty easy. I just pulled open one of my two eyeshadow palette drawers and I immediately knew the two that I wanted to reach for. So these are two older palettes in my collection that I still do like, but for whatever reason there's like one or two shades kind of very similar to this one where I'm keeping them for those shades, and let's try and see if I can kind of get my use out of those shades and then maybe filter these out. So the first out of the two, I don't even know if the brand is still doing this particular eyeshadow, is the Beauty Wide Seasons palette. Now this is an eyeshadow palette and brand that is based in Dubai. I got this quite a while ago, and this was one of my very first videos on my channel, and my favorite shade in this palette is this one right here. I love this shade. I do also have some favorite mattes, like this matte is beautiful. All of the shades are really pretty, but this is my favorite shade in this palette. As you can see, there is quite the dent already. So once again, that is going to be the shade that I really aim to get some decent use out of. I would love to hit pan in that specific shade. And then the other palette is my Nomad Cosmetics Harajuku palette. So this is a palette that I loved when I got. It was so unique, and it also was so much fun because it worked on my complexion. And one of my favorite shades in this palette is actually Mushy Mushy, which, if you did not know, Mushy Mushy is like a way to say hello on the phone and actually goodbye on the phone in Japanese. So Mushy Mushy is my favorite shade, and yeah, so those are going to be the two shades that I add into this kind of curated collection of shades that I'm panning from these palettes. I'm just going to take the time really quickly, like I did last time, to swatch all of the shades on my arm so you guys can get a sense of all of the different colors. And yeah, I'll be right back again. Alrighty, top to bottom we have Cheens, Wine Stain, Stay Sassy, Eve, the shade from the Beauty Wide Seasons palette, which does not have a name, and then Mushy Mushy. So these are the shades that I'm going to be aiming to work on in the month of February, and yeah, hopefully I can make progress yet again on at least two shades from this collection. And in case you were wondering, okay, you hit 2 pans, but like, how is that going to help you towards your goal? I believe I calculated that if I hit about 2 eyeshadow pans each month, which there are 12 months in the year. 12 times 2 is 24. I will slightly succeed even more than what I wanted because I only want to hit pan in 22 shadows. So I'm really excited to see where I'm at. Like I said, those two were kind of easy give me products. I do think maybe the Seasons Wide palette might be another gimme product, but hopefully I can get not only use out of a lot of these gimmier shades, but some of these more harder to reach and harder to pan shadows as well. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one, which most likely is going to be tomorrow because I always seem to have a video lately that I need to release on Saturday. Alrighty guys, bye.